Welcome back to the OPL. My name is Michael Hing, and it is a joy to have you with me, us I should say, because we are about to get into Game 2. Before that though, we're running a social competition tonight with the hashtag IamOPL, and we want to know your dream team. If you had to pick 5 players, one for each position, which 5 would you pick to form a Super Oceania team for League of Legends? Tweet your entries with the IamOPL hashtag. Jim, Raz, thoughts? Who's your dream team?
I'm not going to choose any Chiefs because that's cheating. So
how is that cheating?
Obviously, I'm going to pick my own team. So no, I'm going to go Tally top. I like aggression, so all out aggression. Tally top, full carry player.
Yeah.
I'll give Carb in the jungle. I think 80 carry. I'm going to go with Zeratul. Me, of course. Me and Zeratul, like mega aggressive bot lane. And I think mid lane. No, I'll take Swiffer anyway.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're taking Swiffer anyway?
Yeah.
No Chiefs for
All
Swiffer.
No one else matches up.
All right, I see how it is. Okay, I'll take Pac-Man top lane actually because he has been having a lot of good flanks. So I just want to I think that's been something you can grow on. I love it. Jungle Seb. Wow, this is turning into Abyss suddenly.
Abyss.
Oh jeez. Mid lane. Luch. No, mid lane Swiffer.
Pressure's on.
80 carry.
Yep.
King actually. I'll go King.
Yep.
And then support.
He can take. I mean, it is.
Rosie.
I've been roasted. I'm here and I've been absolutely
Destroyed.
roasted.
Well, let us know your dream team. Hashtag IamOPL. But let us get into a bit of pre-game analysis for Game 2. I mean, do you guys see that the composition changing between Game 1 and Game 2, Legacy v Abyss?
I would definitely like to. I didn't think Abyss's comp was good last game. I think they basically outdrafted themselves. I think they need to pick something more simpler. Like their last game, if they ever fell behind, I feel like they just had no comeback mechanisms. They had very little CC and didn't have any engage. So I want them to pick something more standard, something with engage, just like an OS brawl comp. Just pick CC and damage is what we say at the Chiefs. Just pick CC and pick damage, and then you can't go wrong.
Pretty much. And also, just like a small bit was just the Gnar pick. They picked Gnar extremely early, and it got counterpicked. Even though they saw Irelia ban and was like, all right, we're free to pick this. I actually think you can get abused in that sense. So that's a small thing. It didn't really impact it at all. If you're going to have Tally just looking to split push rather than push and roam, then I'd just say like Trundle or something. Yeah.
Jax
works too. Yeah.
This is also kind of a high-pressure situation for Abyss. I mean, they're down 1 game in the series now. Like, what's going through their minds right now? How do they cope with this pressure?
Very nervous. You really don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just got to kind of bounce back. You just got to reset.
Yeah.
Just fully reset. Like that was a rough game. They got like just beaten the entire time. So like
nothing you can do really at that point. You
Just
just reset, go forward.
New game.
Yeah.
New mentality, let's do it. All right, well, it is time for us to get into the game. So why don't we hand over to the casters, Atlas and Rusty, for Game 2 of Legacy versus Abyss.
Thank you very much, Hingers. And Rusty, what are you looking for? Are you looking for any changes here on the side of Abyss, or do you think that maybe just things need to go a little bit more right for them?
Well, I mean, things might want to go a little bit more. I agree with the desk, to be perfectly honest with you. I think a lack of crowd control hurt them, especially when they were falling behind. You're expecting most of the 80 carry mid lane picks to not have it. The jungler was a Rek'Sai, and that's standard. So it feels like perhaps it's Pac-Man who needs to change his champion choice up. His teleport flanks were great, but what if he was the Gnar as an example? But yes, it was early picked away from them. I think there are other opportunities for champions there instead.
Could they potentially ban it away? Of course, on the blue side, a little bit more flexibility in target bans.
I don't think that's necessary. Talia early rotated it to prevent a Trundle or anything of the likes from being locked in. Maybe a little bit more focus from Seb perhaps towards that top lane to put Tally even further behind against our Pac-Man rolling. Could change things around, but the real issue is just King and Kuden winning the 2v2.
Yeah.
Translating that into kills across the board and then snowballing the game. It was a slow loss from Abyss.
But it was King getting pretty out of control on that Lucian build, even if it was a little bit greedy as identified by Jim. However, no mortal reminder, no problems, as Karma is going to be banned away second here on the side of Legacy. No real changes so far in the draft. It seems to be a mirror from last game. Does Abyss change it up? Do they ban the Gnar? Do they just get rid of it? As Gangplank is going to be the one that's taken away.
There you go, red side taking away the Gangplank perhaps as Tally's counterpick option. I wouldn't be shocked again to see a higher priority on Gnar from Abyss in particular. I wouldn't say first pick heavy, but we'll see what they do now.
Well, the Legacy didn't find the Vladimir button. We were talking about the Vladimir button last time around, and that's one that Abyss did manage to find. We'll see whether they can make it 2 in a row as they look for that Vladimir button once again for this first pick.
Yeah, Legacy do have a Cassiopeia in the middle lane. Heard that Choose has actually beaten a Vladimir in the past.
Oh my goodness.
But again, the question of priority is definitely going to be there, as I am watching Max literally explode next to me. He has forgotten how to England.
Well, Rek'Sai is going to be locked in.
He's had a Brexit, a brain exit.
Hi, I'm Britain. No, Tally, all right. Hovering the Fiora for the moment. As Legacy, it's their turn. I mean, can we find it this time is the real question. 30 seconds to go.
I don't think they need to. Legacy, they could do it. I'm not saying they should avoid it at all costs. Yes, they could lock it in, but given that they didn't ban it, it seems they might have a strategy in place.
Yeah, it could be a
for
plan.
it. Of course, giving over the Rek'Sai is not the best outcome for Legacy. Seb does perform well on it, as there they go.
Yep, so Nah going to be locked in one more time there for Tally as Braum picked up for Kuden. Twice in a row, both of these champions for both of these players. Choose won't have his Azir. Now Abyss try and work out what they want to do.
Yeah. Of course, Choose has a lot of champions that he can play. He's a Legacy Assassin player.
Oh yeah.
But he also has the Victor and the Cassiopeia there. And so Luch may feel the necessity to pick something for himself in this rotation. Maybe force something away from Choose. Bottleneck them into a strategy. But you got to remember, red side on Legacy, they can just last pick the Vladimir and be like, all right.
Yeah, well, exactly. I feel like Abyss almost railroaded into that decision, but not yet. This stage of the draft, as Luch is currently hovering Talia.
You would expect a Sivir, unless they really want to go support.
Well, Ezreal not going to be on the ban list this time around.
That's
Of course, Azir is going to be there instead. So, Raid and T-Gun lock away the Bard. Ezreal, a really powerful lane.
I was actually going to say earlier in the draft, I don't know if T-Gun plays it, so I didn't bother mentioning Bard. But if you think about the differences between games 1 and now, what was missing was the engage. What a Bard provides is a passive support that has the double entendre of being aggressive. You can mid-range engage for your team. You can set up flanks. You can actually deny potential Mega Nars and whatnot. I much prefer the Bard to the Janna in almost every single instance. They've got an Ezreal with it, which is quite hard to kill.
Currently, we can see King just cycling through a whole bunch of different options. Not necessarily for himself, but not necessarily picks that he even wants to pick up here, as Legacy are making up their mind. See who's going to be saved for last. Makes a lot of sense for Choose to want to get that counter pick opportunity as Vladimir. Oh, there it is. Finally. Got to the Vladimir bot.
Yeah, deciding they want to play the Vladimir themselves. Luch will get that counter pick for what it's worth.
Yep.
Of course, he may just default to Victor and see how the lane goes, but you can't always do that with a Vladimir. He can occasionally go a little bit crazy and win any laning phase by himself. Carbon also going once again the early pressure jungler that is a Gragas, matches what Seb can do on his Rek'Sai. It also sets him up nicely to even deal with him.
Yeah, and with the Azir band away, I mean, if there's anything that you'd want to change to, probably a Vladimir. Now Choose has the opportunity to go completely ballistic. Of course, Legacy will be able to potentially take down Abyss in 2 games if they win this one, and it's been a long time since we've seen a less than 3-game loss for Abyss. They tend to like to draw them out as much as possible, as there's the Cassiopeia picked up by Luch, and the Swain once again for Pac-Man. I actually really like this from Abyss because they've got a stronger bottom lane now to go up against King and Kuden.
It feels like the same concept from Abyss in this game, except they've shored up their weaknesses a lot more effectively. More skill intensive when you think about it. The Bard needs to hit the stuns, and the Cassiopeia needs to hit the poison and the ultimate, but they still want Legacy to run at them, and they want to meet them with the teleport flanks on the battlefield. Very good team fighting, honestly, out of this Abyss side. And still a well-rounded comp.
Yeah, they don't have the On the Hunt, though, which could be very dangerous. Now Raid moving away from that style of utility to more of that poke-heavy, slow, intense type champion.
I think Legacy, honestly, still built themselves with the exact same principle on the flip side.
Yeah.
They've just added the Sivir, as you mentioned. That extra movement speed that the Vladimir will get should work out quite nicely for them.
And I'm really interested to see how Luch does on this Cassiopeia as well. I mean, Choose is the one that's really found a whole bunch of success. We've seen Rymeister play it as well to pretty great effect. But we'll see whether Luch can be able to get it done because, of course, Control Mage in the mid lane does a lot of damage, is able to farm extraordinarily effectively. Who comes to mind? Probably Luch.
Yep, pretty much. I thought, of course, this middle lane matchup will be quite important for the
yeah.
outcome of the game.
We'll see how things go. Use that hashtag AEWin if you think that Abyss can bring us to 3 games in this series, or if you believe in Legacy and their 2-0 power at the top of the table and their ability to retain the Legend title. Use that hashtag LGCWin. Hop over to Twitter and let us know because it's a big deal moment, and this could be shutout for Abyss as well. They need to win this game. I mean, if history's taught us anything, they will, but changes happen.
Of course, known to have 3 games Abyss. Tendencies are always going to remain there.
Yeah.
They've gone through 2 out of 3 now of the top 3 teams, but Legacy have decided that they're going to stamp the foot down in what they coined as a David and Goliath matchup. But Abyss, they've still been that David a couple of times. One more might not hurt.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and they're going to have to do it in this game as well. Bring us to that game number 3 and see whether they can close this one out. We are onto the Rift, as Legacy you can see streaming down on our red side, as I believe that's the Nosferatu Vladimir skin.
It is.
One of the worst in the game, but I personally love it.
Well, the loading screen art is fantastic.
It's awful. Are you kidding? Oh,
But that's why it's fantastic.
I know.
It's like when you think of Hunchback, right? Like,
I've been playing it a lot, actually. There's the magical journey. Carbon being surrounded. Gets poisoned there as well. Beatrice helping out with the slow as Ray taking a lot of damage. But Carbon has to blow the flash. The poison! Oh, God!
he popped a potion.
Yep, well, he had to there as well. I believe Deathfire Touch would have almost killed him.
Yep. Really close. Carbon does live. I would have popped the potion earlier. Of course, it's a refillable one, so you can do that, you know. Because either way, they get a flash out of the Gragas that nothing else was actually used. One big problem is actually the magical journey started by T-Gun to get into that in the first place. Also didn't use his Ignite, which would have been nice.
That would have been the kill.
And result is no kill, no bingo. And now you have to question if it's a lane swap that T-Gun and Raid actually wanted, given that he started Magical Journey. And perhaps Legacy have fallen for the trick.
Well, they do have vision of the bottom lane.
They do now.
Yeah, the minions are going to collapse relatively soon. You can see T-Gun looking to try and get amongst it with his sick Magical Journey start to try and stop this jungle pathing, but he's not going to be able to do so.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that he doesn't have presence anymore. And against a Gragas, he will die. And so he has to respect, but he makes sure they're not doing the blue buff at least.
Wolf Spirit is going to spot him out. Now, Choose getting relatively aggressive, but nice poison damage here from Luch. As Choose not exactly as durable as he wants to be on this Vladimir. Starting with the boots. Wants to get away from the poison as much as possible.
Yeah, and Luch hits that level 2 first, so has a lot of threat that he can actually apply, as T-Gun's just double-checking that the Wolf Spirit that he saw at level 1 is still not there.
Where are me lucky chimes? Can't find him.
For no particular reason, checks the wolves. I guess to clear the timer.
Like that.
Oh, there we go, the level 1 chime
Oh,
strategies.
that is the best. There we are. Now I understand. It all makes sense.
Slow playing the lane though, Abyss. They don't need T-Gun to be there, not until now when the Swain actually starts to collapse with them. And so we will see that regular lane swap take place. The 2 buff start from both junglers. Nothing wild.
But a little bit of extra time here for Legacy. They've got a big wave. And Tally already set up as now a little bit later Abyss are going to start. See whether Legacy decide to push this one through, but you can see the damage pretty even.
Yeah, and Ezreal, we've already spoken to this a couple of weeks ago, excels in lane swap scenarios where you can use your W and give attack speed to everybody that's there hitting with you, as well as your passive going up from it 2 stacks. So they do attack it incredibly fast. Even
the only
likes
time
of
you need to
Sivir.
remember the fact that it's called Essence Flux, which is good. You know,
I didn't even know.
When you take the time to learn it, and then realize that no one but AP Ezreal uses it, so Spawn, he'd benefit.
It's the W that goes through minions. So I use it for harass.
And even then, it does pitiful damage. As the towers fall down at about the same time. This lane swap scenario, Luch pushing this wave forward, currently with quite a substantial lead. But chooses Vladimir, so who cares? He will still be Vladimir.
There was 1 wave the difference between the 2. And given that Luch just recalled in front of him to get his item timing, He will come back and potentially collect most of it. Things will even out. His Legacy now continue the second aspect of the average, everyday lane swap. Not so much every day anymore. This isn't Season 5. It's a sometimes do.
This time, it's actually not going to be answered by Abyss, and they're deciding to go back to standard lanes now after one turret take. There's a nice spell shield out of King.
Yeah, you're right. So they will be 2v2ing each other, as decided by the Abyss roster. A Braum Sivir does have a lot of kill threat, especially with the slight level edge that they actually have for themselves. But once the minion wave resets, maybe health bars reset with it, you'll find that Abyss should be okay. Except getting to that point in the game is suddenly quite difficult.
Yeah, Raid actually struggling to find the minions underneath this turret. Throws himself a potion. Carbon continuing to get aggressive here as you can see even Seb setting himself up for some sort of gank. Nice Twin Fang damage here out of Luch.
Yeah, Carbon not actually looking to come in at all, given how forward Luch is. Might have thought there'd be an opportunity, but there's too many minions in the first place that I'm sure Choose would want. Carbon actually has a higher priority on this bottom lane. 2v2 is potentially a dive, but doesn't opt for it.
Damage back here as the Meep Slap comes in from T-Gun, but Boomerang doesn't find Raid. And another fantastic spell shield out of this Sivir. King is on form today.
Yeah, it's good and bad, right? So he lost a lot of health in the attempt to use it.
Oh, there's the knock-up. Tally actually taking a lot of damage. Has to flash. No flash, never move to come out of Pac-Man or anything like that. Tally, summon a spell down. Pac-Man in control.
Good movements from Seb again, actually focusing that top lane where Tally has found himself in a decent position. If you compare games 1 and 2, there was no level 1 laning against each other. That was where Tally actually fell behind, and he started to pull it back as the lanes progressed. This time around, they skipped that point.
Yeah.
Now both of them are just generally speaking going to be good.
On the bottom side, we did mention the fact that, you know, Ezreal Bard, historically, pretty strong lane, but right now, looking like the more powerful one is this Braum Sivir. Working very, very well, just shoving these waves in over and over again. Nice spell shield. It's not on the Cosmic Binding though. T-Gun might have a window, but he's going to use it as Winter's Bite connects. Kuda and King just repeatedly smash waves of minions into this Abyss bottom lane.
Yep, Sivir doesn't fight you. Sivir fights the minion waves, makes you fight the minion wave, and then just residually hurts you. Pretty stock standard stuff is the reason they've been able to even do this is T-Gun's been aggressively trying to get those Cosmic Bindings off, giving King the mana necessary as Seb's back.
Man, he's able to at least get the knock-up here onto Tally. The bounce will be available as Beatrice doing some work here at the same time. Nevermove comes down and Tally's Hex Drinker doesn't look like it's going to be enough, and First Blood goes to Pac-Man. Really nicely played by Abyss.
Yeah, no flash available for Tally, and Seb comes back a second time. Coincides well with Pac-Man having that freeze. And this is the start of bad things in that top lane for Legacy. But they're still winning elsewhere on this map. They still have that Vladimir. They're still scaling in their relative strength. This is still a good positive movement. Choosing to get Pac-Man ahead. He's proven he can carry.
Once again, T-Gun just going to magically journey his way back towards the bottom side, but King ahead by about 30-odd CS towards the bottom side of the map. Pac-Man actually trying to eat up some of these minions, but Carbon comes in. Tally in trouble, but the flash comes in. Nice Nevermove placement there. Stops the potential gank, and Pac-Man now going to go back home.
And one big positive that we have to credit Pac-Man with time and again is saving his Nevermove until it's absolutely necessary to be used, or it will 100% connect on something. That's the best example of it. If he's fighting against Tally and winning, this is
aggressive. This Pac-Man is going to find him. Beatrice going to slow down Carbon. As you can see, Luch coming in for a massive flank. Explosive Cast comes in as now Pac-Man says, I want you, Tally, but nice double stun as the Wallop comes out as well. The birds are just doing too much work, and Pac-Man picks up the kill despite all the efforts. Carbon's able to walk out, but that's all they wanted.
Yeah, and Luch also had the potential collapse, so Carbon's choice to not go in was
That's
what? Unfortunate.
How does that even happen?
Red buff.
Yeah.
That's how.
Well, Luch going to be upset. There is another blue buff available on the other side of the map. As you can see, Choose just doing Vladimir things, taking away some popcorn chicken on the other side. Raptor camp now belonging to them as Raid unable to go back to base just yet. It's King and Kuden. King's probably just looking for some mana, wants a spell shield.
No, it's something that King has been constantly doing, but pressuring them in this aggressively, you would expect, runs the risk of being backfired on, but these early pink wards and such avid control of the map has actually prevented Abyss from clearing them out. We are yet to see Seb have a presence down here. Instead, wants that top lane going, wants to utilize the teleport, wants to back up from that top laner of Pac-Man. Start snowballing the rest of the map. These two for Abyss have always just been the throwaway of all of the lanes, rather. Yeah, they just want them to sit back, have a great time on the Rift, or have a bad time on the Rift, doesn't really matter, and then team fight with them.
You can see T-Gun actually taking a fair bit of damage here. Probably wants to eat one of his own little shrines, does so there, but doesn't let it charge. Seb is looking to make his way in. We'll be able to use that Raptor Sense to clear out this minion, but this ward. But his presence now given up. King and Kuden can play accordingly.
Yeah, and one big thing as well is that King and Kuden hadn't really recalled in an incredibly long period of time. With no mana and no items to their names, you'd expect that there would be a fragile 2v2.
He takes another Never move here as he's now looking for a Hyper Proc on a Pac-Man who just birds up this mini wave. Bird. Luch actually looking for Carbon and Choose, and he's in trouble. Does get a decent poison down, but Choose is able to get it with the Tides of Blood, and the Vladimir doing Vladimir things. He's able to get some pressure. Yeah,
Luch having no summoners available, no ultimate either, as it was used in that trade. There's just so much damage that comes out of Choose and Carbon at this point, this early in. As Carbon's actually made the adaptation, he's gone away from the Sight Stone build. He's gone towards the Runic Echoes Gragas build, and he's actually doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, just changing it up. The Wallop is going to connect. Pac-Man's health bar, though. Just a thing in flux. And there's Swain.
We already spoke to it being one of his big resources. As T-Gun finally hits a Cosmic Binding. The rest have all been spell shielded. That must be satisfying.
Yeah, feels good. Looking for the ward here as well as Carbon's towards the bottom side. On the hunt is going to be used here as Raid wants to get back underneath his turret. Flashes as well, but there's the stun, and King picks up the kill. All too easy here on the bottom side of the map as Seb looking for Tally. He's in trouble. Flashes over the wall. We'll make it out, but another summoner spell burnt as the pull has to be used in the mid lane. T-Gun just throwing Raid to the wolves. We'll be giving away this bottom outer turret by the looks of things as well on the side of Abyss.
Yeah, and that was actually really big from King. Gets the double auto attack reset within 0.5 of a second. It's quick enough that they get the stun lockdown. They can follow up with all the damage afterwards. Brom's passive is kind of a big deal here.
Oh yeah.
And Legacy once again utilizing their 2v2 in the bottom lane is one of their bigger win conditions. Abyss have put everything towards Pac-Man. Luch has been thrown to the wolves. The bottom lane has been thrown to the wolves. And it's just that Swain now. And if he can actually get it done.
Still ahead, but I mean, this was the same case last time around. Legacy now with an organic 1,000 gold lead, given their turret advantage, but Abyss looking to try and even that one out. Luch does get the poison onto Choose, healing himself back up with that Twin Fang at the same time, but you can see the transfuse is just something that you can't out-trade at this point in the game.
Yeah, he has a Spirit Visage completed compared to the components of a yeah, I can't say it now.
Menemenomenon.
And Menemone.
Menemone. Menemenomenon.
Yeah, Morello Nomicon.
That's the one.
That ridicule, though. All right. So
no, it wasn't.
It means he doesn't have the healing reduction against the Vladimir Atlas. That's why it's not that great.
I love it. T-Gun looking for some sort of flank here on Tally, who's taking a lot of damage from the Bard. My God. Raid's going to land the Essence Flux.
I wish Bard
the dive,
said nailed it with the whisper that he has from the mix.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Zeb looking for King. He's going to spell shield the knock up there as the boomerang does fly back. Nice concussive blow. Stops up Zeb as the True Shot Barrage is looking for Tally but doesn't find him. And this inner turret now possibly under siege. Carbon's looking in the mid lane, however. Pac-Man's around as well, and Legacy will clear this one up.
I can feel the confidence that King and Kuden have. They knew it was a numbers mismatch. Tally was pushed out, so they had no teleport to help them out. And still they advance and push forward, getting every bit of damage out that they possibly can. Not a strength to be seen from Legacy at the moment, this early in.
One thing I do like is the fact that Pac-Man and Luch, both on champions with a heck of a lot of consistent damage, will help them against the likes of Vladimir. Seb wants to try and escape, but I mean, I don't think ever just trying to counter Vladimir is ever a good idea. I just feel like he's dumb at the moment.
So the Cassiopeia is picked to counter the Vladimir, I will grant you that, but we've also seen successful games where people go Karma or Victor into it, where it's more about diffusing him than actually doing anything else to it. Malzahar's another good example of controlling minion waves and making you just deal with them instead of actually hitting the champion.
You can see Seb actually poking his head around here just a little bit. Carbon not as tanky as he was last game, but he wants the pink ward. All of his friends, it is going to be fine. T-Gun helps out. Cancels the auto attack. Good guy T-Gun understands who's done the work clearing out that ward.
Still a lot of presence to be seen from this Rek'Sai. Carbon may have his items. It doesn't mean that he can go toe-to-toe constantly with him. Especially not when there was no choo-choos to be seen, no bottom lane from Legacy present either. But now they've actually shopped. They found themselves with a lot of strength. All they're waiting on is the Gragas to go back as well. You would say they're at a point where they are actually quite strong.
Yeah. Of course, AE looking for the Manamune and that Iceborne Gauntlet there for Raid, but will hit a power spike a little bit before King, despite his advantage.
Yeah, to an
Luch
extent.
Still looking for more.
I'd say that King's actually stronger now. Even
Oh,
considering
now,
the
yes.
items.
Most certainly, yes.
I feel like that Manamune purchase is still quite big for Raid. He has a lot of auto attack damage now. He's basically 1v2 though.
God. That's another thing that Abyss definitely have in spades. It is neutral objective damage. That could actually be a big deal when it comes to sneaking things like the Baron if they can actually get control.
Yeah, Cassiopeia is quite big at taking out Barons. And the occasional Drake. And if they actually win a fight beforehand, it could be a big deal, but it's going to be hard to live if you're even the Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Against all of the damage that can come out of Legacy. They have a lot of engage, they have a lot of chase as well, so you can't just kite back constantly. Not that easy.
Carbon's Raptor Sense, gonna proc, clears out the minion. And Seb, pretty blind underneath the ground right now, spots a whole lot of different tremors. And he's gonna back himself out of there. King getting to work on this mid-outer turret.
Carbon playing so forward as well. You can tell they feel confident and powerful.
Oh yeah.
As they are moving from bottom to top, taking everything on their way. Transition from a red buff through the middle lane.
They're a gang right now. They look like a gang.
They are. They're a goon squad.
Yeah.
And have to threaten every single time they come up here. Pac-Man has to recall. They may not even be trying to gank him. They're not even there to take farm away from Tally. They're actually just scaring Abyss at the moment, forcing them to move around the map, pulling them around for rotations.
Well, Abyss don't even need to be scared. I'm scared enough for them right now. Legacy just looking terrifying moving into this series. The lead, definitely nothing. Got 500 gold, not a big deal. True Shot Barrage going to fly through his T-Guns, looking for King. Spell Shield now on cooldown, but on the hunt is there. Only the slow from the Cosmic Binding, so it doesn't lock him up.
Still good moves from Abyss, but you have to see T-Gun actually even throw his ultimate, so
Yeah.
I'm not feeling too confident in that respect, but they have the ability to make the picks. King with a greedy spell shield to avoid some damage, then has to use a lot more for it.
Oh, maybe that's what the pick is. Maybe it's the Bard into the Vladimir. Because you can Tempered Fate your own team to avoid Hemoplague damage.
That would be very silly.
Also pretty cool.
Note that you are against the Gnar. Tempered fating your own team.
Ah, yes.
Probably death.
And then he dances for a little bit and then pegs you into a wall. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't think it through all that far, to be honest, Rusty, but the thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Sure.
Well, Dragon not going to be up for the next little while. Legacy still controlling the area, though. Especially at the top side of the map. Look at those pink wards in a triangle around the Baron Pit.
That's what it feels like, though, right? Like the top side focus is there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even want to do the Baron, but that's just where their vision is definitely placed. No real emphasis on the Cloud Drake's existence, even though it's up pretty soon.
Yeah, 2 minutes approximately, a little bit less. But Raid's managed to catch himself back up just a little bit. King has been running around, taking every minion wave. Now Pac-Man looking for Carbon, but doesn't find him. Never moves. Plus the bird are going to do some work, but Luch just getting collapsed on. Tempered Fate comes in a little bit too late, and the Snake Lady's going to fall.
So much damage comes out of a Vladimir and a Gragas combo. They're still looking for more. They won't get more. Well, they might actually.
Magical Journey. On the hunt has been popped there by King. He's aggressive. Boomerang, double tap. To raid. This is the red buff that we prepared earlier. King's going to chomp that one up.
Yeah, absolute momentum basically now for Legacy. Abyss, this is what happened to them in game number 1, striking all over again. Trying to play the map, just being outmoved around this entirety of the map.
And also unable to find a pressure point at all. I mean, Pac-Man 2-0-0 now as opposed to definitely a worse scoreline last time, but it just seems like this team plays around Luch's power so much.
And he has none.
No.
Because they let Choose pick Vladimir. Plain and simple, when you think about the drafting order, it was a late rotation of the Vlad.
Yep.
And I think both teams were bluffing against each other, saying they can Cassiopeia into it. I just don't agree with that as a general strategy.
No. Unfortunately, he remains Vladimir, no matter how many snakes you throw at him.
Pretty much.
No. Luch is going to get himself a blue buff, though. He does at least have the CS advantage, be it only 2. And will scale exceptionally well.
Still, this actually, for what it's worth, Legacy at 20 minutes are only 1,000 gold ahead. There's actually a lot of credit to Abyss where it's due there, and that they are still only 1,000 gold behind against what is meant to be the best team in the OPL currently in the standing.
Very true.
And even in performance, means that Abyss are closer
the
to that
triple
top tier.
cloud dream.
Yeah, the dream.
Oh, beautiful.
Having Night Terrors.
Bodes well for Abyss, to be honest. This was triple Infernal Drake, things would be different. Choose takes some Twin Fangs. Tries to look like he cares, but don't worry, we see through it, Choose. We understand. You don't care.
Yeah, so the Cassiopeia still has the 1v1 threat. It's always going to be there. It's not so much that I dislike Cassiopeia as a pick into Vladimir. It's that we dislike Vladimir as a champion that's available to be picked and hasn't been addressed. Except for the attempted counter. Cass will still be able to hold in the 1v1, but Carbon's been pressuring it for good reason.
Well, there's the Tempered Fate, stops Carbon, as there's the Petrifying Gaze as well. King gonna get stunned up as Choose flashes over the wall. Nice double knock-up, however, as the Hemo play comes down. The pull's there, saves the Vlad for the moment. Nevermove doesn't find a target. As you can see, Pac-Man is a monster moving into this backline. Raid doing some work with some pokes. There's now Abyss on the offensive. The Vlad going back home. Nevermove locks down Kuden. He's going down low. Seb's going to get stunned, though, as Pac-Man launches his way in. True Shot Barrage gets a lot of damage, but King's with another Spell Shield in exactly the right time. And Abyss, they win the fight in the end.
Yeah, so they actually come out ahead in that fight. Lots of kiting towards Luch, but the Gragas cast was not in the right direction that that Legacy actually needed. As a result, Luch can kite back, can get the work done. Now the opportunity was indeed there for Abyss to get something. The response from Legacy is already available.
And Legacy still ahead that 1,000 gold. Nothing really budging despite Abyss getting a slight edge in the last fight. Raid's still desperately trying to catch back up, but it's not working. He's 50 CS behind. That's an Infinity Edge almost completed here for King. I mean, Executioner's Calling's done. Raid going to be helping out his team there. But Vladimir does need to be dealt with.
I mean, he's been itemized against.
Yep.
For what it's worth, they are still built to deal with a Vlad. It's not so much even the Vlad that's the major concern at the moment. Yes, he's 2-0, but Siva's also going to be a big deal. And they've itemized magic resistance to combat the Vladimir.
Yeah.
We've already seen, again, the strengths of this Abyss Game 2 draft in comparison to the Game 1 as Luch.
Yeah, once again in trouble. Hemo play goes down. Petrifying Gaze going to get pulled, though, as he's just trying to get as much damage down as possible. Sarah Shield comes in and saves him from the Hemo, as Choose is able to pick it up with the Transfuse. Nice knock-up as Carbon's tanking the turret. One more auto will be enough, as there's the Prey Seeker to get the work done. But the rest of Legacy have turned up. T-Gun just magically journeys through the turret after getting the stun onto Choose, but he's just able to tank up for so long.
Yeah. Seb's trying his hardest, but it's not going to be enough to kill the Vladimir. Great pull from Choose, actually, though, to dodge the Petrifying Gaze. And this is just Legacy starting to run a little bit rampant now through their 2v2 of King and Coot. And diving turrets feels like it's just an easy thing for them to execute on with the Sivir go button in that ultimate.
I thought you were going to say the 2v2 of Carbon and Choose into Luch.
Well, they've actually, like, yes, again, they've set up a 4-0 Vladimir in these situations. But it's even the follow-up that comes out of King and Kuden after that. They've already set the precedent that Luch is going to have a bad time. They're drawing T-Gun over to try and keep him in it. And then everyone just turns up and kills T-Gun with him now. Seb against the world, and Pac-Man unable to be there 24/7 as the top laner. Abyss need to make some pretty serious changes in this second game to keep themselves in it. That does involve at least preparing Luch for the danger that is consistently here in the Gragas.
Yeah. The outer turret, thankfully, is still available. He just doesn't seem to be able to stay in the middle of this lane. And as well, I want to commend King for the fact that he's ahead so far in farm, ahead of the clock by 20, and is always there in these fights when they need him.
Yeah, one of King's bigger weaknesses that we've seen in the OPL was that he was never actually with his team. Had tendencies towards split pushing all the time. But not anymore.
No.
Feels like he's definitely, well, as I say that, he's split pushing. They are using him a lot more often now to actually group up and make plays.
Splitting on the right side of the map, though, because now can rotate over for this blue buff contest. There's a spell shield actually on cooldown now, though. The blue's going to reset. Bard ulti. Yeah, Tempered Fate doesn't find anyone as the teleport came in from Pac-Man. Flashes over the top of the Winter's Bite as he's looking to get into position. They don't quite have the movement speed as T-Gun's over the side. Nice Cosmic Binding locks up Carbon, but another spell shield saves King. And Abyss just can't find the engage.
They try and make the play, though, given that Tally has no teleport, so Abyss try. They try really hard to make that move work, but it just doesn't.
Choose not going to be able to get this outer turret, but will be able to if he sees 2 more auto attacks onto it. And the blue in the end is going to be stolen away. There's the Miasma actually doing a bit of work as Carbon takes a lot of damage. Pac-Man gets into a good position in the back of this fight, throws down the Zonyas as Carbon gets a heal out of nowhere. Petrifying Gaze not going to find anyone as Choose. He's in the back line. Tides of Blood doing work, and Tally going to get caught. Kuden's going to fall, but they're happy to sacrifice him as Legacy force all of Abyss away. Raid all the way up in their face, but he's got no mana, can't do any more.
No, they can't follow up any further here, Abyss. They have to just concede what they can from this situation. It's only really going to be a 1-for-1 where T-Gun threw himself willingly at Tally. Does die for it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the flip side to that, though, is that Kuden ends up dying. A lot of summoners burnt, and this is a good opportunity for Abyss to utilize the natural strength that their team composition actually provides in the next couple of minutes and make another pick. Working around a third Cloud Drake is funnily enough, not that bad of an idea. It's not a great one, because it's a Cloud Drake, but it's not that bad of an idea.
Well, they've actually been working with this Cloud Drake very effectively. It's allowed King to get around the map extraordinarily fast, pick up all of the farm he'd like. He's got an Infinity Edge. This is 27 minutes into the game, and the Sivir is well and truly online.
Yeah, he's huge.
Before Abyss really want him to be either.
Also, adaptive builds from Carbon and Kuden able to keep everybody healthy through the magic damage burst. As you can see a banner of command for the Gragas.
Yeah.
Magic resistance stacking from the side of Legacy to combat Pac-Man and Luch again. That middle game strength that a lot of the Abyss members have through solo laning and solo experience doesn't amount to a whole lot.
As you can see, Mountain Drake is going to be the final dragon of the game before we get to the Elder territory. Pac-Man wanders through. You can see knock up onto the minions here. Is this, yeah, Banner of Command minion going to be a difficult one for Abyss's wave clear to deal with. Raid probably going to have to be on duty trying to destroy that one.
Yeah, Pac-Man's not going to have a great time against it either, so you're right, it is mostly Raid. So they can't have him split pushing or in side lanes at all. There's still a lot of hard engage from the side of Legacy. They work around that Gragas flash body slam to go in, and they've got King to speed him up to do it. He's going to find Tally.
Great, actually, very aggressive move over here as well, as he does get the Bilgewater Cutlass. Boomerang comes down
Mega.
as Tally gets the Mega Gnar and smacks the Ezreal into the wall. He will die for it, but a 1-for-1, he's more than happy. And the outer turret's going to fall in the mid lane at the same time. Legacy Just get the work done, and Tally can never be underestimated.
Really unfortunate though. Raid missed a lot of spells there, so mechanically missed plays. Ends up dying by about the health value that Tally would not have had if he took that damage in the mini-Gnar form. That's, yeah, again, that's like the right idea. They found the Gnar without his jump available. Yeah, he had his flash there, but they give him an opportunity to 1-for-1 trade instead of just getting the free pick.
King's farm is worrying me at the moment.
He is so far ahead.
I just don't understand where all of those minions came from.
Every single time he gets a lane, he stays there and pushes it out. And so you actually push faster than the minions can spawn in those lanes. And you get further and further ahead. He's not taking a whole lot of jungle camps, but he's getting the perfect lane assignment for him. As even now, he's going to probably rotate from red buff to mid lane, or from mid lane to red buff, and still find himself an extra 6 to 9 creeps within the next minute. So consistently staying ahead of the clock.
Yeah, and the rest of his team not actually falling behind because of this as well. As Choose is only about 10 behind of Luch. We've got a 20 CS lead for Tally here as well on the Gnar, so it's not like he's been stealing. He's doing the red work. True. Tally's got one too. Cute.
That's what I mean.
Oh, he's the one that stole it.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Maybe they want to give it to him knowing that he's against Swain. I'm going to keep that kite up.
The extra lockdown. I like it.
Instead of having the frozen mallet build as well. Much more stock standard in the way of being a tank for Tally on this Gnar. Team fighting strength. Such a scary legacy lineup.
Oh no.
Like, it's only
is.
4,000, and then you actually look at the scoreboard and you're like, that's totally not 4,000.
Doesn't feel like it. Especially when Choose now has his Zhonya's Hourglass as well. He's almost impossible to deal with. That Void Stuff is going to come very quickly. 30% CDR. The Lucidity Boots built on top. Man, there's just not a lot of good news stories here for Abyss.
So they want to kick this Baron off. Not a lot of opportunities for Abyss to close the distance. There's one blue trinket remaining, and there it is. So with that cleared, Abyss could continue, or they could look for a fight, forcing Abyss to check for vision.
Tegan actually picks the gap in the vision here as King takes away the blue buff. Tegan lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah, well, Legacy coincide with wanting the blue buff, so they don't find Tegan on their journeys for it. Can rinse and repeat, however, here, Legacy. A fair bit of sustain. Every time a jungle camp dies, 3 people on their team have strength of the ages. So they get a lot of health back.
Yep. Raid looking to try and poke them down just a little bit. Takes a magical journey, gets himself out.
That was a great dodge.
That was very cute.
These 2 people from Legacy need to show some respect as well, though. Carbon, he's not a tank. He actually has no armor. And Raid is dismantling him, as once again, that no armor does not help when taking Baron. See, the damage is taken. Kuden has to tank.
He doesn't have a whole lot either. There's a True Shot Barrage, spots this one out as On The Hunt has to be popped to get them out of there. Carbon gonna have to go back to base now as well. As Tally was on the fountain, so he could have got a decent teleport in, but gives Abyss the opportunity to reclaim control of this area.
And again, I just don't get this idea from Legacy utilizing 3 people who actually have no armor in their kits. One of them's an AD carry, so that's expected. But the double locket build from Legacy is not going to help you with neutral objectives. You actually want to make picks, get team fights, and play around that vision. It's actually a better decision to bait for it than do it if Abyss are always checking.
Yeah.
They're not playing the blue trinket counter. They're not playing around the vision of Abyss too heavy-handed. They're actually just looking to straight up do the objectives every single time.
Choose now probably looking for that Void Staff on this next back. We'll see whether he can complete it. There's Abyss with a bit of respite given to them. Void Staff there now. Choose back pocket.
Yeah, but again, the
One more item
onus
slot.
should have been on Abyss to actually capitalize on the missing health bars of Legacy. 5,000 as a gold lead is actually nothing if 2 members of Legacy have no health. You can just straight up take them out.
Yeah.
The second Carbon and King go back to base. They should have complete control of that Baron area, if not threatening it being taken. But they weren't able to.
Just weren't able to claim enough control as far as vision is concerned. Didn't necessarily know where Choose was. Getting some vision down now. Pac-Man's on the bottom side. Tally mirroring towards the top side of the map, so he'll be able to get over to this Baron relatively quickly. Teleports up for both.
That's a Void Staff for Choose as well, so he is well and truly the strongest member on Summoner's Rift.
Oh, I don't know. I reckon King would probably debate you for that one.
You reckon they can 1v1?
Yeah, he's got an Executioner's Calling and 4 damage items, one of them having Magic Resist incorporated.
Uh-huh.
And a Spell Shield. Yeah. I think it might be close.
Yeah, it might be.
He's a Vladimir, though. That is true. It's a very good point. I mean, if there's anything you don't have to convince me of, it's the fact that he's a Vladimir. Pac-Man going to pressure Legacy away from this Mountain Drake. He keeps changing his mind. He's angry.
It's a very slow attacking Drake.
Well, they do manage to stop it from resetting. This, looking to try and lock down this Mountain Drake. This will actually be a big deal as they even out the Dragon counter. Lots of backs actually coming in from Legacy who just want to go back to the shops, grab something for themselves.
I mean,
next one's going to be in Elder.
This is actually a really good opportunity for Abyss to come back into this game through the Ezreal. They need to take out King. It's not going to be an easy team fight for them by any means, but if they win that team fight, we're late enough in the game that Abyss can actually just take a lot from it. And at this point in the game, all the magic resistance being stacked on the side of Legacy with barely any armor, in fact. 2 armor items if we include Azonia's.
Yep.
To be seen, and only one of them is going to be Tally. Raid could go nuts.
We'll see whether he can. He's built a Last Whisper anyway, so that Mortal Reminder almost there as Seb looking to try and hold on to his support player. Choose makes his way over. Nice flash out
Seb's
from
in
T-Gun
trouble.
as Seb is definitely in trouble. Tempered Fate is going to save him for the moment as Pac-Man gets himself into the backline, and now Abyss decently set up for a team fight, but there's the Hemoplague. Choose doing monster work here towards the backside. Miasma comes in, Luch with an opportunity, but doesn't get the ultimate on the right targets, and Tally now flashing forward, fighting with Raid, as Pac-Man has to kite his way out the back. Legacy have low health bars, but so does Abyss, and no one dies.
Except that Seb is so far on the opposite side of the map that I don't really know what his strategy is going to be here.
Oh, Pac-Man doesn't have Zhonya's. Never Move comes in, and Tally gets to Mega Gnar.
Yeah, and there's the one big pick, no teleports, and everyone has to recall. On the side of Abyss, it feels like, well, Tally wants to do the Baron. Legacy decide once again to bait for it instead.
Oh, there's the flash body slam. T-Gun gets out, though. Everyone takes it. Really nice Cosmic Binding. As now T-Gun still running, but look at that crit. That's repugnant.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage once again, so they can rinse and repeat. This is what I wanted to see from Legacy 5 minutes ago. Instead of just doing it with their magic resistance, they can win team fights because nobody on Abyss does enough damage besides Raid. They do it twice now. And this should be Baron, but Abyss want to fight it.
They're trying to get in there. Miasma's down on top of it. The Baron's taken by Legacy, but now you can see Seb with a massive 3-man knock-up. Wallop doesn't find Luch's Hemoplague's not going to claim too many people. Seb falls down. Tally's extraordinarily low as Carbon's going to fall. Double kill comes in as King's flashing away. The triple kill's not going to be there, though, because King is going to lock him down, and it is going to be the double. It was a decent try from Abyss. They couldn't get it done, and the Baron's now circulating our OPL legends.
And that was actually an auto attack away from Raid, potentially getting a big clutch fight there, knocking out a lot of members from Legacy, but he doesn't get it. King has proven in this series that he is the premier AD carry out of the two. Really stamping his mark in the OPL.
The extra full item there as well. 136 CS in the lead. He's 4-0-2 now at this stage of the game. King has had an immaculate performance.
Yeah, and still 50 ahead of the clock, which is just insult to injury. At this point in the game, with the gold lead as large as it is, there should be very little expectations for Abyss to be able to pull it back besides the Miracle Turtle. But for what it's worth, I said it last game, their base has not been broken.
That's true.
They still have a Cassiopeia. They can still scale with damage. But it feels like doing that is not an easy thing.
It certainly isn't. Pac-Man and Luch did just finish their Void Staves. That is good.
They needed
a lot of
those
magic
at the
resist.
Baron fight, and that's why it was a good move by Legacy.
Yeah. Seb gets himself a red buff here as well. Some defensive vision available here from Abyss, as you're right, setting up for that turtle. Oh, cute delivery. Over to Raid.
Yeah, with this Baron buff and with no Ezreal ult, means defending this out, the inner turret, it's going to be pretty difficult. Watch this damage that Raid takes. Oh.
Oh my god.
2 crits.
There's the Hemoplague down as well as Choose has to use the pull. Look at that freaking regen. It's disgusting as Tempered Fate is going to find some creeps, but not much more. This, throw down a lot. Legacy do the same thing. Tally used the ultimate there as King now has to escape. Magical Journey comes in as T-Gun puts that one down, but they do not want to fight this one out. Inner turret falls in the mid lane, and Legacy, just so flexible with this added movement speed from the On the Hunt, are able to get down to this inhibitor turret on the top side. Abyss just being ran around by Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy's response is not to fight. It's definitely just to kite them out, play them for the full, and run them around until the base starts to crumble. They're still showing a lot of respect, honestly, though, from the side of Legacy.
What's Carbon doing? Hanging out.
What isn't Carbon doing?
It's clearing tunnels on the bottom side of the map.
You
I'm
think
gonna
he's
go back
barred?
T-Gun makes some adorable noises, then goes back home. I believe looking for his Mikhails. Can be done just yet.
No. Not too far away, however. Something they would definitely like is that Bud having the Mikhails. Get people out of stuns from the Braum and the Gnar. And again, Legacy, they have shown a fair bit of respect to what Abyss are capable of doing. Their damage is always going to be present.
Oh yeah.
Already said those Void Staffs came in, and imagine if they were there around the time of the Baron fight, it could have actually spelt the difference between winning and losing it. As now it feels like the Baron buff Legacy have set their sights a little bit closer to that Elder Dragon than anything else.
King now selling his boots, grabs a Blade of the Ruined King. That is 6 damage items up front for the Sivir. Got more money than he knows what to do with.
Yeah, thankfully Sivir doesn't necessarily need boots. You
Yeah.
can just press your R button instead. Move speed comes out of that in lots.
Certainly does. Phantom Dancer there helping out just slightly as well. As does the active on Blade of the Ruined King. Oh, nice. He's going to be super speedy. Now Legacy setting up for this Elder Drake. That is one of the Scrying Orbs
That's
down.
actually
both
both.
of them.
They watch them both get used. They pull the trigger immediately afterwards because Abyss have to go straight in and look for it.
But it's being taken, and it's being taken extraordinarily quickly. Seb, will he actually go for the potential steal right now as Miasma comes down on top? There's the True Shot Barrage coming through as well. Seb still holding on.
He got
Flashes over, picks it up and tunnels his way out. Abyss, get the big objective and move away.
Seb is super clutch right now for Abyss. That denies the basically GG condition for Legacy. And now it's going to be a lot harder for them to pull the trigger on breaking any kind of structures from Abyss's base.
And I feel like now it's Legacy having to wait for another Baron to come up.
Almost, unless they make a pick. They do still have control of Summoner's Rift, but we do get to see this one again. It was a super clutch steal. He actually flashes over to secure it to ensure that he's immediately within range. And luckily for him, Kuden doesn't use the ultimate, or there's no body slam to deny it from being taken down. And from getting him out safely as he does get out. Abyss now feel like they have some momentum. They're moving towards the middle of the map.
Well, there's a teleport. King is going to spell shield the Tempered Fate. The teleport comes out from Pac-Man, gets him in there. Tally now goes back to base, doesn't have his TP. This outer turret now going to get sieged. AE with a whole lot of newfound aggression. Miasma going to stop any body slam attempts. And Seb casually tanking up tower shots because he may as well.
Yeah, but this is only for a limited time. And Abyss having this are still well and truly behind. And so whilst they have the buff, they might feel like they are on equal footing. They definitely have the capabilities to win a team fight with this buff. So Legacy are trying to hold, but you have to respect the damage that can come out at any moment.
Yeah, well, outer turret will fall down. A little bit of clawback as far as this money is concerned, but it's still well over 10,000 gold for Legacy. Choose taking some poison, which has to be respected. Tally's got a GA looking for the flank, and look at that Narbar. Well and truly up to where he wants it.
This is an interesting movement from Abyss. Legacy have the choice of pushing down mid or defending, because Abyss have the inside track. They have to defend. That's actually 2 turrets now taken. The gold lead's still huge, but Abyss, they have control until now.
Carbon actually looking for the flank. There's the Magical Journey, gets the majority of the team out as there's on the hunt. Really nice. Cosmic Binding comes in as Kuden, maybe a little too far forward. Tally at Mega Gnar, they want to wait this one out if they can. Gets the Wallop onto Pac-Man. who is a big bird right in amongst this fight, but throws down the
Nah.
Zhonya's 4-man Nah in the backline as Luch gets his way forward. Look at the petrifying gaze damage, and Pac-Man
King.
takes down Kuden. Luch is going to get stunned up as Raid's kiting this one out as well. Luch now down to his GA, and Abyss, they're just falling at the hands of Legacy. King is massive in this fight. That's a casual crit. And it looked so good for Abyss. And then the Sivir existed.
Yep, so close, but close is definitely not going to be enough. Legacy, with 4 people dead on their opposition team, only the support standing, you'd expect have the ability to break the base, but they're not really on the right side of the map to do it, as they are now going to move towards the top side of the map, perhaps end with the minions. They should have enough time to do so.
Yeah, pretty excited about the T-gun kill as well, potentially, as he's trying to clear out this minion wave as best he can. Tally gets over the top, though, and this is going to be the first inhibitor turret taken on the top side. Who's going to help this one out? King 3 hits it.
15 seconds on the next person being up. They're all pretty much up at around the same time.
T-gun just doesn't look like he can do anything. Look at King's damage. He's a one-man army right here as Tally just tanking for the duration. Tempered Fate comes in, saves the Nexus turret here as T-gun's trying to take down this big Nah.
That's it.
But the Hemoplate comes in and the Nexus is just going to fall down. King eventually falls, but Legacy had enough to get it done in a 2-0 victory. Legacy crush the hopes of Abyss Esports.
And you have to say that was actually quite close towards the end of that last fight, but King played it incredibly well, positioned well, and killed everybody with no response available.
Yeah, and that was the big difference. King just so huge, but we are going to throw it back to the desk to break down the Legacy win.
Thanks, guys. Well, yeah, that means they've closed out the series 2-0 Legacy. Let me ask you, Ejim, did you see any weaknesses in Legacy's play tonight?
Yeah, I think that second game specifically, kind of going on to what I said, or like what we said before the game, or before the series even started, they're like, Tally is like Legacy's big win condition. And so he didn't get far enough ahead in that game for them to be able to like, for Tally to be able to brute force split push. And then they looked like a little bit lost in the mid game.
Yeah, and it comes back to the pick. Remember earlier on I said I would like to see him on like a trundle that kind makes it a lot easier. It's like a pretty much you can split push forever. That's our style. That's what we play towards. And instead they picked the Gnar. And honestly, in that specific matchup, it's good for Swain, but at the same time, if you just pretty much continuously gank it, like 2v1, pretty much like put him behind, you can pretty much play it out that way. But with Gnar, you kind of just, you push and you roam. You push, roam, and look for team fights, and they just weren't doing that properly.
Yeah, and even like early on, like Tally got pretty punished, I think, because of Carbon. Like in they lane swapped, and then they matched the standard lanes. Abyss matched the standard lanes, and then Tyler was trying to break the freeze top, like solo push it in, and Carbon was just on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah.
And then the Rek'Sai just kept coming up and just kept punishing him. Like he blew his flash with the first gank, and then Tyler was pushing up again, and then he killed him, and like it was just downhill for there. Like I think that like set Tally far enough behind that he wasn't going to be able to do like his normal thing.
And like just the last point too, because the Legacy had control of that game for a very long time. Pretty much for a point where they were just kind of like going in, getting vision, and then kind of walking back to Baron. It feels like at a point it felt like they didn't know how to really further their push. They just walked back to Baron. They realized they couldn't really tank it too, right? You mentioned earlier on is because they didn't have the proper items.
Yeah, Gragas went Banner of Command, which is really weird. Well, I guess it's not too weird. It's okay, especially into the Swain. I was saying that I think the Braum, Kuden Braum, should have gone the Banner of Command, and then Carbon should have gone actual tank stats. So then they could tank the Baron. But yeah.
Well, let's look at this team fight from sort of the mid game.
Yeah, so just pretty much put it out. Like they end up actually being able to pick out T-Gun, right? Because it was actually really difficult to actually start a fight. Once they get it, of course, they have a really strong team fight composition. They're able to kind of just barrel it through. Kuden gets taken down by like the pretty much put in stone by the Bard ulti.
I think the biggest thing of this is like Raid sitting over in the blue wall. Like he doesn't actually do any damage in this team fight. Like fighting the Cassiopeia in the choke is like that should have been on equal grounds. Like it should have been a good fight for Abyss, but Raid wasn't there initially, and then like by nature of it, they caught T-Gun, so like they didn't choose to fight that. They just kind of found themselves like in that fight.
Exactly, and even if they were in a decent position, I still think they were too far behind. I felt like that Legacy was so far ahead, especially the Vladimir into the Cassiopeia in that sense.
Yeah.
Cassio is usually really good into Vlad, but of course he was put so far behind that I didn't think that Cassio was doing enough damage at that point.
Yeah.
So it was a good team fight. I think that if Legacy had set it up, and they did, they got the pick, right? but they should be putting themselves in a position where the team fights are a lot more natural rather than maybe Abyss making mistakes to get them.
Well, let's take a look at how this series has affected the standings. We see now that Legacy maintain their top spot, and Abyss 4-5. They're out of the top 4. They stay out of there. Raz, can they make their way back in?
Abyss, they can't if the Chief Renos end up getting O2'd.
O2'd? Hopefully not. That's not what I'm looking to do. So hopefully Abyss are out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is Direwolves are now locked into semis.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So pretty much that is a big point. Tainted Mind still has a chance, of course. So that's pretty much all.
Well, speaking of Tainted Minds, they're going to be up after the break against Avant-Garde. So let's take a quick break and we'll be back with part 2 of tonight, week 9, day 1. Let's see you after this.